Does the Catholic Church still teach that celibacy is a higher calling than marriage? I'm Dr. Christopher West, the Theology of the Body guy. Let's take a look. We continue our series looking at questions from my book, Good News About Sex and Marriage. If you want to follow along, check out the link below. If you already have the book, we are on page 187, and we're looking at this question: does the church still teach that celibacy is a higher calling than marriage? And if so, what does that even mean? All right, the short answer is yes, the church teaches this because the Bible teaches this, right? St. Paul says, those who marry do well, while those who remain celibate for the kingdom do better. Notice, he doesn't say those who remain celibate do well and those who get married do bad. He says those who marry do well, but those who choose celibacy do better. In what sense, this is what we have to look at, is celibacy better or a higher calling than marriage? There's a proper way to understand this, and there's an improper way to understand this, and tragically, the improper way to understand this has gotten a lot more traction in the church, and it certainly leaves a bad taste in the mouth. Let's see if we can unpack this, all right? The church's teaching here has led some to view marriage as a second-class vocation for those who can't handle celibacy. It's also solidified people's erroneous suspicions that sex is inherently tainted and that only those who abstain can be truly holy, in quotes, right? Such errors led St. John Paul II in his Theology of the Body to assert firmly that the superiority of celibacy, quote, never means in the authentic tradition of the church a disparagement of marriage or a belittling of its essential value, end quote. In fact, let's look at it from this perspective. Why does the church place such a high value on celibacy? Precisely because the church places such a high value on marriage. What? How does that work? All right, hear me out. The value of any sacrifice we make is based on the value of what we give up. For example, little window into my life, I hate pickles. I can tell you why I hate pickles, but that would be a longer story. Short version, my dad forced me to eat a grilled cheese sandwich when I was 5 years old that had a pickle next to it and the pickle juice soaked into the bread, and I gagged on it, and I've needed counseling ever since. End of story. I hate pickles. Guess what I gave up for Lent last year? Pickles. Is there any merit to that sacrifice in my life? Zero, because I have zero value on pickles. But if I were to give up a dark beer for Lent, like if I were to give up Guinness, if I were to give up my favorite black and tan, which I love, that would be a sacrifice for me because I place a high value on a good beer, right? Here's the point. The church places such a high value on the celibate vocation precisely because the church places such a high value on what celibate men and women sacrifice: marriage and the marital union, right? That's what they're sacrificing. If sex were bad, if marriage were bad, or to be devalued, then celibacy would have no value, because that would be like, for me, giving up pickles for Lent. Again, the church values both vocations, values celibacy because of how much it values marriage, but it recognizes, as St. Paul says, there's something objectively, that's the key word, there's something objectively better about celibacy for the kingdom. Why? Here's the answer. Because heaven is objectively superior to earth. Marriage is an earthly sacrament of a heavenly reality. Celibacy is not a sacrament, right? Priesthood is a sacrament, but that's a separate question, right? Celibacy for the kingdom is not a sacrament. Why? Because it is a more direct participation, even now, in the eternal marriage. If you haven't seen my video where I explain that, check out the link and watch that other video on a basic explanation of celibacy for the kingdom. The point is this: celibacy, again, is better only in an objective sense, because heaven, that's the choice of celibacy, it's the choice for the heavenly marriage, that is an objectively superior reality to the earthly reality, the sacrament of marriage. But subjectively speaking, the better vocation for you is the one to which you are called by God. And so St. Paul says, I tell you this is in the context of him saying that those who marry do well, but those who refrain do better. I tell you this, he says, not to limit you, because some people have this gift and some people have that gift. And the word Paul uses here is actually charism, which means a gift of God. To some, God gives the gift of celibacy for the kingdom. If that's the gift God gives you, rejoice, choose it. Don't choose marriage because God's given you that gift. But if God has given you the charism, the gift of married life, choose it and rejoice, right? Here, when we understand this distinction, celibacy is objectively better. But what is subjectively better for you is the vocation to which you're called. Then we can understand that it makes no sense whatsoever, for example, for a celibate person to cop some superior attitude and hey, check me out. God has given me the objectively superior vocation, and that must mean I'm objectively superior. That is not the church's vision here. Nor should someone like me, a married man, happily married man, joyfully happy married man. In fact, some people have said to me after hearing me teach, hey, Christopher, you teach the gospel with conviction. Maybe you should have been a priest. And my response is, well, I'm a Roman Catholic, and in the Roman Catholic tradition, priests are chosen from among those men who have discerned they're called to celibacy. And I discerned very clearly that I was called to marriage. So I rejoice in this calling. It makes no sense for me to think, oh, thanks God for giving me the objectively inferior vocation. No, for me, my charism is marriage. And marriage, subjectively, is the better calling for me. I rejoice in it. It's my path to true fulfillment. It's my path to heaven. So all of this underscores the real importance of discerning in our lives, what gift has God given me? My brothers and sisters, I don't know of anything that is more helpful in discerning that question than St. John Paul II's Theology of the Body. I invite you to go deeper, especially if you're discerning your vocation. But if you've already discerned your vocation, maybe you're years into a life of celibacy for the kingdom. Maybe you're years into the married vocation. Maybe you're single and you don't know what you're actually really called to. The Theology of the Body will open your eyes to how God's calling for you is revealed right in your body and right in the deepest desires of your heart. Come on a journey. Go deeper into this vision. Check out the resources that we offer our patron community. There's a 12-part series that will take you deeper into the theology of the body. There are ongoing retreats that we offer our patrons, and they're recorded and on the membership page. There's a whole library of exclusive talks that we offer our patrons. And check out the link also to take one of our online or in-person courses at the Theology of the Body Institute. We have so much more to share with you. We invite you to continue the journey with us.